Good morning, folks. How are we all doing? Been a little while since I last got around to doing a video. I've been meaning to do a couple recently. Had some really good feedback and messages on some of my Yerba reviews recently. Not least quite a number on the review I did of the Baldo Mate, including by the people who make it, which is really nice. So thank you very much for that, folks. But it's time for another Yerba review, and one I've been drinking a little bit of, a fair amount of, fairly recently, and that is this one here, which is Kraus Organic. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so I think I explained in a video quite a while ago that one of the Yerbas that I used to drink a lot of was one which was called Che Mate. Came in a brown paper bag and it was very tightly packed. You know, it was like a real, really tightly packed, really like a brick inside the packet. And it was an organic mate, so I've been wanting to try some organic mates, organic Yerbas, I should say. So this is a very popular brand. It's very well known. It's very easily available pretty much everywhere. Let's have a look and see what it says on the bag. So unsmoked, that's a pretty big deal. Let's get some light on the situation here. Hang on. So there's so many of the Yerbas that are smoked. Part of the natural process of making it is to rotate in a big drum, heated by wood fires and things like that. So it quite often takes a smoky taste on, and you can get that coming through in a lot of different Yerbas actually. But this one's unsmoked. I'm not sure how it's dried. Let's see if it says anywhere on the packet here. Natural aged, whole plant, 100% organic leaves. Dried with hot air, secados con aire caliente, 100% free of humidity, free of smoke, sorry, my poor translation. Yeah, so unsmoked, hot air dried. It's an Argentinian mate, so Argentinian Yerba, so what we can expect is quite a lot of stem and leaf, which is indeed what you get, coarse ground. Let's get some on the plate here and show you. So hopefully you can see that. Some quite big chunks of palo in there. Now I'm going to be drinking this out of a little glass mate today. And as far as nose goes, so let's get a whiff of it here. Yeah, a lot of dried hay. It's got quite a floral tone to it actually, this one I find. Quite floral on the nose. What else does that remind me of? It's slightly biscuity. Almost like toasted biscuit, but... yeah, I mean, I'm not so good at describing the sort of subtleties and nuances of the smell, but what I can tell you is that this one tastes very unique, actually, I find. So let's get the thing prepared. Quite low on dust, not quite as low on dust as some of the other things, like it's not quite as low on dust as Rosamonte, for example. This is yesterday's mate water, so it's still a little warm. And this is actually one of the Yerbas that I find really benefits from a lower temperature. So let's just set that down there to do its thing. It's got quite a strong flavour, this one. And what you tend to find is with a lower temperature water, you get a much more interesting and sort of almost kaleidoscopic flavour profile than you would if your water's too hot. So I'll just set that aside, let it do its thing for a couple of minutes, and we'll come back to it when I take my first sips. All right, so let's go ahead and take our first sips. Got the bombilla set just right. Water temperature's good. So we're good to go. Salud. So really interesting thing with this yerba, and I think those of you who drink a lot of yerba will know what I mean. This one in particular, in that first mate, the first one or two cycles, there's this interesting flavour that's almost like fish that comes through first, which sounds really unpleasant. I know I'm not selling it, but it's really not that bad at all. I would love to know what causes that, but I found it with a couple of different yerbas. But this is one which definitely makes me think of fish when I first sip it. But trust me, that immediate sensation, that immediate flavour of fish goes away very quickly indeed. One cycle, first sort of mouthful or so. Once the mouth is coated, once the inside of the mouth is coated with all that lovely yerba goodness, then you get down to the sort of grassy, earthy. Yeah, I kind of get like a. I wanted to say something like Chinese cabbage, like a flavour. There's a flavour almost like pak choy. That was an immediate thing that sprung to mind just then. It's interesting, but it's quite a good robust yerba, this one as well. So that's something that you might want to sort of know about. It's probably not one I'd recommend as a first try, as a first yerba. But again, it depends on what you like. I had a good friend, very good friend of mine recently actually say, I've not seen him for a long time, but I don't know whether or not he's been sort of following my YouTube videos or something. But he said that I'd inspired him to get some mate. So he got some Amanda, I think it was Amanda Red, and a mate set, and was trying it for himself. And I sort of said, well, for a first time yerba, I would recommend something like Playadito or Cruz de Malta or something like that, because those two lack so much of the bitterness that comes with a lot of different yerbas you can get. Now, he actually said that he really likes the bitter flavours, so that's fantastic. This is a yerba I would definitely recommend if you're naturally liking your bitter flavours, if you like your coffee black, for example. But it is a bitter mate, and it's also a strong mate in terms of caffeine as well. Now, somebody made a really good point on one of my videos recently. Can't remember which one it was, but if it was you, thank you for the comment. And that is that the Argentinian yerbas tend to be a lot higher in caffeine. And that's really interesting. I hadn't noticed it before, but I tell you what, I've been finding myself getting kicked by caffeine recently. And that's because I've switched to a different kind of mate. Now, up until maybe a couple of months ago, my go-to mate was always something like this, traditional sort of Argentinian style. In actual fact, that's probably one of my oldest. So sort of to drink in the, it's got a little Taragui mark on there, look. So to drink in the sort of traditional Argentinian style in a small little mate like this. However, what I've been doing recently is I've switched over to a Dirty Great Big Imperial. This is, I believe it's Paraguayan although this one's made in Argentina. I think the style is Paraguayan. And certainly kind of prior to that, I was drinking out of a sort of intermediate size one like this, which is, I think, called a Camionero, which is slightly smaller, again, than the Imperial, which has become my daily go-to. And the Imperial is, as you can see, significantly larger than what I was used to drinking out of. Now, what I've found is, of course, I'm still drinking a lot of mate, but I'm putting a lot more mate in this. And if it's an Argentinian mate, if it's something like your Playaditos or Rosamonte, or indeed this Kraus, you are getting much, much more caffeine out of it, out of drinking something like this. Now, I'm trying now to kind of stick to just drinking the sort of traditional Uruguayan cup mates, Baldo, Canarias, one of my favourites actually at the moment, which I'll get around to doing a review of fairly soon, is this one, Canarias Serena. Because if you drink Argentinian mate out of this, you will rush your nipples off, I can assure you. So just keep that in mind. And thanks for educating me, whoever it was that made that comment about the Argentine mate actually tending to be a little bit stronger on the caffeine side. I think you're absolutely right, and I didn't notice before, because I was always used to drinking out of such a small mate. Yeah, so this one again on the caffeine side of things is pretty full on. So I would recommend drinking it out of a small little mate like I'm doing today. My little glass mate from Anna Mate. Shout out to Callum. Yeah, so flavour wise, okay, let's get on to the sort of third cycle now, because the flavour, just in that last little mouthful, really developed there now. So gone has the fishy flavour has disappeared entirely. What I'm getting is biscuit and spinach, dark greens, kale, yeah, something like kale, or Cavolo Nero. You get that kind of slight bitterness with the with some of the greens, like curly kale and Cavolo Nero, that sort of thing. But it's got that very fresh kind of feels like it's full of vitamins. And what's notably absent from this is a smoky flavour. I already mentioned in the preamble to the video that it's not smoked. Now, in all honesty, I don't know too much about which of the common brands of mate are and are not smoked. But I can tell you that some of them certainly have quite a smoky flavour. Rosamonte, original Rosamonte, for example, has got a smoky flavour naturally. So I need to do a little bit of research into whether or not that's smoked, because I don't know or can't remember or something. But there's none of that smoky taste here. It's just sort of pure green, And I'm already getting that caffeine uplift. I had decaf coffee for breakfast this morning, so I haven't had any caffeine at all until now, which was an hour after my morning coffee. So it's from the Misiones region of Argentina. I'll just see if I can do a quick translation here. Says, I promise, we are promising that our sustainable agriculture, we look for conservation and fertility, or we search for conservation and fertility of the soil. Lago plazo. I don't know what plazo means. Somebody can maybe translate that for me. and also that they reforest their lands. Cada año reforestamos nuestras tierras con árboles nativos. So they reforest with native trees. El propósito, I can't pronounce that word. Propósito de restaurar el bosque, with the intention of restoring forest, protecting soil and promoting biodiversity. It's easier if I just try and translate this directly rather than speak the Spanish, because my Spanish is appalling. We do not utilise herbicides, pesticides, or artificial fertilisers in our cultivos, in our cultivation, I guess. So yeah, there you go. Really, really nice to get an organic mate, organic yerba. And Kraus is, I believe, a very big producer of various other mates as well, of yerbas as well. It's got quite a lot of affiliated certification marks down there. I'm not familiar with any of them myself. Oh, it says air dried. Syntac, I don't know what that means. It's got the Organic Argentina stamp, and it's USDA approved as well for those of you in the US. Now, it doesn't have a soil association mark, so I'm not sure what that means in terms of standards for organic certification in the UK, but I would imagine that it's probably pretty similar. Anyway, it's good stuff. It's got some really, really good flavours in there as well. I'm really enjoying it. I go away all week. I tend to just take with me at the moment Baldo for for when I want something really good and long lasting, but that's not going to punch me too hard in the way of caffeine. And I take away some Playadito usually. This is one which I think it'll definitely sort of go into the rotation. I'll certainly be buying more of it. It's a really, really good quality, robust, earthy, green, fresh tasting yerba. Excuse me. Well, yeah, that's definitely doing the business for digestion and picking me up. So highly recommended. Very, very easy to come by. You can find it in all the usual places here in the UK, Euroshop, Anam Mate, Mate Mundo, and indeed pretty much anywhere that sells mate sells this stuff. So it's very easy to come by. I think actually Euroshop do a sort of a deal where you can get like 10 packs for, I don't know, 10 kilos for 80 quid or something like that. Go and check it out anyway. Give it a go. Very, very good. Very highly recommended. And forgive my appalling Spanish pronunciation. I actually had a Spanish lesson booked a couple of days ago with somebody local. And unfortunately, I had to cancel it because I needed to have a meeting with my boss, which kind of sucked. So I'm going to have to reschedule. But I am taking Spanish lessons just so that I can maybe stop butchering the pronunciation of so many Spanish words. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Very highly recommended. Go out and try it if you haven't already. Cracking stuff. And I'll catch you the next time around when hopefully I will get around to doing the review of the Canarius Yellow. Anyway, see you later on, folks. Take care.